warm welcome to Federal's special program, Capital Beat. It's more than 3 months and the cycle of violence and lawlessness continues in Manipur. The Chief Minister, Biren Singh, continues to have the support of the central leadership of the BJP, which includes Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah. The question which everybody has been asking outside the parliament and inside the parliament, where does the buck stop on Manipur? And why is Prime Minister Narendra Modi not able to remove or sack Biren Singh? Is Biren Singh so impregnable sitting inside the fort of Manipur? That's $1 million question we are asking on the program today. I am joined by Suhas Chakma, who is the director of the Risks and Rights Analysis Group. Thank you so much, Suhas. We have Pushparaj Desh Pandey, who's the director of Samrit Bharat Foundation, and he's also the editor of the Penguin India Rethinking series. Thank you, Pushparaj, so much for joining. We have Sameer Purkaista, who's the editor for the Federal, senior journalist, joining us. And he's been to Manipur. He has a lot of reports on what is happening exactly inside Manipur. And I hope to be joined by Sanjay Rana, who's a BJP supporter. He promised us he would join, so let's wait and watch. But anyways, we will start the discussion, and I'm going to start with Sameer today. That Sameer, what do your sources say? Why is Biren Singh not being removed by the Prime Minister or even Amit Shah? Yes.
See, look, there are a few reasons. Firstly, you have to see the Prime Minister's reaction after the 76 days when he came out, came out and reacted on the viral video. What did he say? He just selectively spoke about that viral video, and then he ignored the, this 3 months long, this conflict which is raging for over 3 months long. So if you if you derive a message from the Prime Minister's statement, it is very clear that he was trying to say that this is one of the case. And then he also added that similar situations happened in Rajasthan. He tagged it with similar incidents of atrocities against women in Rajasthan and other places. So essentially what he is trying to say, that see, this is not a very some very serious issue. It's just one of the issue. So BJP has this strategy of not owning up responsibility for their failure. Even Brij Bhushan case, you see, he in fact other day after the viral video, this video from Manipur went viral. It was he who addressed a press conference condemning the atrocities against women. So that kind of attitude, they will not own up, because they think that if they remove Biren Singh, it will, affect the image of the party. That is one. Secondly, now after all this conflict and all this thing, the Biren Singh in this conflict, when this society has been totally polarized, Biren Singh stocks within the majority community has gone up. So it will not be that easy to remove him politically for the BJP. It may politically backfire for the BJP, because Biren Singh has once, he defected from the Congress, so very well he can defect, from the BJP as well and form his own party if BJP tries to remove him, and and that will affect the BJP's prospect in Manipur. Because in this state, in Manipur, and for that matter in other northeastern states, BJP don't have very organic support base. This support base which they have are leader-based support base. It is based on leaders, candidates. So if these leaders go away, party will tumble. So this is also another reason they are most probably weighing all these factors before taking some drastic step or concrete step in removing him. Then within the society, within the Metis society also, there is one school of thought that right now, if Biren Singh is removed, then it will lead to more chaos, because in the midst of already the state is in a turmoil, and suddenly removal of the chief minister, will create further instability. So that is also, that kind of thinking is
Right.
also
So
there.
what you're saying that purely for political reasons, BJP doesn't want to stabilize its political prospects in Manipur, and probably that is the biggest reason why they are not wanting to remove Biren.
Yeah.
But Suhas,
Yes.
what is your assessment? You also know things very closely as to how things are unfolding in Manipur. What would you really say that is Biren Singh so indispensable for BJP? What are the reasons for that, according to you?
No, I don't think it's the indispensability of Biren Singh. It's the whole ideology of the government of the day that with this kind of incidents, you do not establish accountability. And it started with the present Prime Minister himself. As I had said, in 2002, Prime Minister Vajpayee on record had reprimanded him. Then Chairman of the National Human Rights Commission, Justice J.S. Verma, had reprimanded publicly. And of course, if that was the situation, what we are witnessing or what Biren Singh is facing is basically a repeat of the same situation which was prevalent in Gujarat. Then if you look at, apart from these incidents, I have not seen the BJP ever taking any step against anybody for inability to control, riots, unless it goes out of hand, something like, Nupur Sharma's incident, that you can no longer actually sustain your interaction with the Middle Eastern countries and etc. Then they take action. Beyond that, I have not, seen them taking any action. And at this point of time, because Biren Singh has become, as a result of the riots, has become very powerful within the community. He is no longer the Chief Minister of Manipur alone. He is also the Chief Minister solely of the majority community. And that is the way people see him. So, I don't think, I never expected, BJP ever taking action, irrespective of whatever the opposition demand. And I do not even also expect the Prime Minister to come and record and make a statement in the parliament on the situation, because unless fresh violence, break out, for them, these incidents are previous incidents, past incidents, the situation is under control, and they're managing. I think for the last couple of days, I've been saying this. They are managing the meitys through the BJP as well as the RSS, and they are managing the cookies through the.
So, Has, what you were saying that BJP has been managing this kind of a program and a pogrom, and also if RSS is included.
No, I didn't say that. No.
Right.
What I'm saying from the perspective of the BJP, this situation on the ground is under control. They are managing the sentiments of the meitys through the BJP and the RSS leadership, and they are managing the sentiments of the cookies through the Ministry of Home Affairs, officials from the Intelligence Bureau who are directly talking to them. So for them, the incidents which have taken place, they are incidents of the past. So these are not the fresh incidents for them to respond. And of course, politically speaking for the BJP, if you respond to the events which took place on the 4th of May, obviously you can go back to any other period back in the history, and they won't do that. So that's why Parliament will be washed out, and I don't think we are going to see anything. And we are already in, say, for example, in July. After this session, there is only winter session of the Parliament left, and so they will not be in a hurry, given that major elections are coming up and parliamentary elections will come up after that.
Oh, you're right, because this is today is the third day of the parliament. We haven't seen any business. Pushpraj, if I may come to you, what is the opposition demand really going to yield into? At the end of the day, what are we going to see? Because if Biren Singh is not going to be removed from the post of the chief minister, there is going to be no accountability being fixed, as what everybody is preempting, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi doesn't seem to be acting against the perpetrators, be it Brijbhushan Charan or be it now Biren Singh, because BJP would never project itself as a party which is, on the faulty side. So what would the opposition do now?
See, Niluji, let's first contextualize the issue. BJP CMs across the country have been methodically emulating Prime Minister Modi's example from when he was Chief Minister. It's a classic divided emperor tactic. On one hand, they vilify and other religious or ethnic minorities. And on the other hand, they rally the majority community on atavistic issues. This is what CM Biren Singh has been doing in Manipur. He demonized the Cookies as illegal foreigners from Myanmar who are and have stolen opportunities meant for Métis. He said so openly in an interview to the organizer in April 2023. That's why when the clashes broke out, he kept dismissing them for a full month as government operations against terrorists attacking civilians. Frankly, the Manipur government has not been a neutral adjudicator in this issue. It has directly fueled tensions. No doubt, some of these tensions were simmering from earlier, but rather than resolving them, the BJP government consciously exacerbated them. That's just one of the reasons the union government will not dismiss the Manipur government, because it would mean first conceding that they are partly to blame. Secondly, the BJP can't dismiss the Manipur CM because it will be a major loss of face for them. In the last 9 years, the BJP has consistently proved that it's not a party of governance, whether it's demonetization, the NPA fiasco, the mismanagement of COVID, their failure to protect India's territorial sovereignty, the mounting economic distress. The BJP just keeps proving that it can't govern India. So naturally, they won't impose president rules in one of their own states. It will be an open tacit admission that the BJP is incapable of managing India's internal security as well. So, as you said, it's far easier for the BJP to resort to its tried and tested toolkit, divert attention, attack criticism, and avoid accountability. They did this after Hathras, after Balasore, after Pathankot, after the female wrestlers' protest, after demonetization, and now after Manipur. Thirdly, and I want to be very careful in making this assertion, if you remember the case of the Narcotics and Affairs of Border Bureau Additional SPT Brinda's case, the Manipur CM directly intervened to release drug lords. Now consider these facts. I am purely speculating here, but these are all facts here. We know that drug cultivation and trade has increased in the Kanchan and Chin provinces of Myanmar, which borders Manipur and Mizoram. Secondly, 963 drug traffickers were caught just in April and June of 2019. They found, I think, almost 4,000 acres of illegal poppy cultivation in Manipur the same year. Add 2 and 2. Is the Manipur CM a conduit for illegal black money that fuels the BJP's machinery? Is this why the BJP is not dismissing the Manipur CM? I don't know, but the BJP needs to tell us. They need to answer these questions in Parliament. The Prime Minister cannot speak outside Parliament and not speak to the people's representatives. This is just a breach of parliamentary privilege.
Right. But you raised an important point about poppy cultivation and the probability that maybe the CM has some connections with these drug lords. Suhas, if I may come to you, you were raising your hand. Now, what would you really say to what the point which Pushpraj has just raised about the drug lords and the poppy cultivation, how it has grown, and does the CM seem to have some kind of a stake in this? And probably that could be the reason why BJP is not removing him.
No, I just wanted to add one additional point to what Pushpraj has said. Any intervention by this center after the failure of the 355 means 356, dismissal of the government. Nobody knows better than the Home Minister, and nobody knows better than the RSS guys who work on the field, that the ethnic conflicts in the Northeast are a bit different from the Hindu-Muslim conflicts. The moment you take the responsibility by dismissing that Biren Singh government, then you yourself will be held accountable. So the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, I don't think anybody for that matter will take the responsibility of bringing the situation of the riots under control in Manipur, because at the moment what they are doing, they are managing. They are not addressing. When I say managing, it means you are trying to somehow pacify. But the moment this pacification fails, it means what? It basically means the insurgent groups belonging to the Cookies coming out in the open. It means insurgent groups belonging to the Métis coming out in the open. It means the civilians who have formed all these village defense committees and etc. and have access to modern sophisticated arms purportedly looted from the armory of the state. They all come out and no Home Minister of India or no Prime Minister of India would ever dare to take this situation in a state like Manipur under control. So that's one aspect. The second aspect, which I'm saying on a longer perspective, if those who are involved in the security apparatus of the state, of course, it's very sad that these incidents have taken place. But on the other hand, please remember, each conflict between different communities means the absence of any space for mobility by the insurgent groups. So the Naga insurgent groups did not or could not go to the Naga Kuki inhabited areas after 92-93 riots. The same would be replicated now. So government of India or whichever party was, did not have to take any measures for counter-insurgency with respect to the Nagas in the Kuki inhabited areas because Kukis and Nagas were fighting. So that situation has arisen today that the Bengali-based groups.
So from what you're saying, that the government of India would be happy to call it just ethnic clashes and not deal it as a larger violence.
No, they will not issue it. And I think the last point, which I wanted to come back to on this drug trafficking cannot take place without the sanction at certain level or tolerance of the state administration. And I have friends who work for the frontier Manipur much before the riots had started. I mean, I visited in December last year, around 9-10 December, and they were already doing stories as to how and where poppy cultivations were taking place, except the security forces, the journalists could find them. So nobody, could, took action. Drug cartels all over the world function because of the involvement of persons from the system. And it is not necessary that only the state government officials are involved. I mean, there were so many reports coming up, the central security forces and their officers bringing so much of, marijuana and etc. being caught in Guwahati and etc. So a drug cartel cannot function without some nexus with the apparatus of the state. So I am not saying this particular party or this particular person. We cannot find that, but there are many reports which have come up. It's very easy to say that the cookies are producing drugs and etc. Cookies are not consuming. It has to come, if it's being sold to mainland India, it has to come through the Imphal Valley. Then who are the operators in Imphal Valley? Are they only the cookies are involved, or are they taking through Myanmar? Then you have to come to the Guwahati. And of course, by the time it reaches Delhi, Bihar, etc., so much of, distance you have covered.
Right.
I mean, there are other excellent stories how arms being supplied from that side of the border. The journalists have done excellent work.
Absolutely.
So everybody knows it except the state and the agencies.
Right. So
sorry, just one quick intervention.
Yes, Pushpa.
This is slightly flippant, but this is just to add to Suhasji's point, this is a very perverted version of Modi ji's Make in India. What he's just describing, he's not delivered on the other aspects of Make in India, but he certainly has delivered a certain kind of Make in India, and he's now unwilling to clamp down on it.
Yeah, but I'm very tempted to ask you, Samir, that what Pushparaj and Suhas have just pointed out, that, everybody knows about poppy cultivation except for the administration, the security forces, and, there's this whole show of pretense, which is being put up by Biren Singh government. Does it have its threads connected to the central government? Can anybody say that Amit Shah wouldn't know about it? Our Prime Minister doesn't know about what is happening? And Biren Singh, is he misleading the central government?
No, I don't think they had no clue as to what is happening. In fact, about poppy cultivation, in Federal, we did a story in 2022 or 2021, later part. So, as Suhas said, these stories have kept on appearing, that this is the problem, this poppy cultivation going on and all. And then this war, so-called war against drugs and all these things, and how it's failing to actually control the drug trafficking and all. And then there were also stories of, as another panelist mentioned about Brinda's case. So these were in the public domain. in January this year, Delhi police had arrested Itocha International Drug Cartel. The two Meitei, two persons from the Meitei communities were involved in that, were arrested in that connection, and there were allegations that a stepbrother of a very influential minister was linked with that cartel. So that those things were already discussed and were already in the public domain. So it is not that the center was not aware. If they were not aware, then what this intelligence agencies are doing. It's a very serious intelligence failure, because these things were already in the public domain. It's not something very secret, or and this tension, this simmering tension was also going on for last 5-6 months before it exploded in May 3rd. So it's not that nobody knew, but the preparations were not made, and as usual, BJP always, they are in denial mode. So things were simmering, but BJP thought that will be able to manage that kind of attitude, that with their spin doctors and with this thing, their machinery, IT machinery. So they thought that they will be able to manage both narrative as well as the situation. But
They failed to do that.
But it has unfortunately gone out of control. Now the serious worry is that now this conflict has a serious, we are getting signals of this may spill over to other neighboring states. Already there are signs of tension in Mizoram. And then within Manipur also, the demands of revisiting merger agreement with government of India in 1947, that kind of talks have already started. So this may also, if this conflict lingers, then it may boost insurgency.
Absolutely.
So there are several ramifications, and the center should look into this, because otherwise it can lead to a serious security issue. And as you know, that Manipur is Manipur is very strategically located.
No,
So
of course, the situation is quite sensitive. And as you said, that the center must look into it, but the center wishes to look away from it. Pushpraj, what would you really say to the governance in Manipur now, and the kind of ripple effect it will have in other northeastern states? We have Mizoram elections coming up just a few months, we are away from it. How do you see things unfolding from here on? When there is no accountability, Biren Singh will be allowed to continue no matter what. How do you see the things unfolding from here on?
It would be remiss not to mention this, but in prioritizing politics over the national interest, the BJP government is doing a great disservice to India. I mean, consider the situation in Manipur today. Today, no Kuki lives in the Manipur Valley and no Meitei lives in the hills. The Chin, Kuki, and Zo communities have been completely displaced from Manipur and have already migrated into Mizoram. There is complete anarchy in Manipur. And if the army wasn't stationed there, we would have witnessed a genocide before our very eyes. And lastly, as Samirji was saying, the fires of Manipur could potentially spread to not just Mizoram, but also Nagaland. There are already talks of them demanding for a separate constitution and the flag. They can't do this. The BJP government can't concede to that point, given abrogation of 370 in Kashmir. Ignoring this situation could undo decades of bipartisan governance that has successfully controlled insurgency, or at least limited it in the Northeast. Now, instead of resolving these alarming issues, especially when China is a major factor there, the Modi government is mute and paralyzed. What is the point of abdicating your responsibilities to Manipur and to the nation? This is just not done. I mean, frankly, India deserves better.
But Suhas, there are also talks. We were talking about the special rights of Manipur, which are there under Article 371. What happens to that? Do you see the possibility of those rights also being revoked? Something on the lines of what we've seen in Kashmir, revocation of Article 370 in Kashmir. Would we see something on those lines as well in Manipur as well? Because I have seen and I have got messages from social activists saying that let's prevent Manipur from becoming the next Kashmir. Yes.
Well, I don't think the government of India would dare to do that. One of the provisions of this Article 371 relating to Manipur is that the governor of the state every year has to prepare an annual report on the situation of the hill areas. And for the last, 51 years, that provision of the constitution has not been complied with, because the governor of Mizoram, both under the Congress rule and the BJP rule, never did that. So when it comes to implementing Article 371 or revoking it, I don't think it's something which can be afforded by the center, because both the Métis and the Cookies will be extremely offended, because their rights, which is in a way enunciated in the article, will be affected. So whatever support they have at the moment, if that article goes away, then the central government will not have any support, because the hill tribes, they still have some protection. And the fear of the Métis was that the government of India was going to reach some kind of a conclusion or agreement with the Cookie group to give them some limited autonomy or whatever. And that also was one of the factors. I think what I'm more concerned about in terms of security, I think the security establishment in the country, which includes the IB, RAW, the MEA, and the MHA, I don't think they take the situation in Myanmar into consideration.
Okay.
That you have a failed state next to you, which is Myanmar, where poppy cultivations, gun, etc., in a way exist. Then what is necessary at this point of time is that you have a relationship in a way to counter China with the junta. And what are you doing, the junta? India is one of the 5 countries in the world, only 5 countries in the world which are arming the junta. And what is the junta doing? Junta is expelling populations, which is the Rohingya refugees, 1.5 million people in the camps in Cox's Bazar and other areas of Bangladesh. You have 50,000 people in Mizoram, the Chins. You have 4,000 to 10,000 people in Manipur. So over a period of time, the camps in Bangladesh are going to close down, because UN cannot afford to feed people forever. So that's why UN always withdraws, whether Afghan refugees, Bhutanese refugees, any refugee crisis in the world, at certain point of time when the funds dry up and other emergencies come up, so UN withdraws. So these people will spill over all over South Asia. That's one. Second, at a certain stage, all this nationalism about Jomi tribes dies down. You will have, if you look at the experiences in the early 2001, 2002, where YMA and the Chins clashed, you will have the same classes being repeated. Then, of course, you already have Manipur. One of the contention is the illegal immigrants. So if you look at today, I don't think there is anybody in the establishment want to think out of the box, except satisfying the junta and the Chinese. And you would see that some of the armed groups in Myanmar have close links with China. There were allegations of China being providing the arms and ammunition. And the Arakan army overran the entire military establishment and etc. Where did they get the arms from? They got the arms from the Chittagong hill tracts of Bangladesh, who we are providing. Oh, everybody knows. I know it, not because I'm only a Chakma, I follow it. If you are coming to the Chittagong hill tracts, so you die down, and you are basically creating a system in Myanmar, so much so that we will be destabilizing. We would be destabilizing entire Northeast. You can continue to ignore all these things so long they are in Myanmar. But once they come this side of the border, you cannot ignore. But you look at any official publicly even saying a single word about what I'm saying. And it's not that they do not know. They know it very well. But if you say that, then you are in a problem.
No, but these geopolitical intrications and the complexities which you were talking about, let me come to Samir on this. That Samir, I'm again coming back to the question of Biren Singh. That is Biren Singh the man who is actually holding the strings and is trying to balance out all these complexities. And Narendra Modi apparently has led everything to him and left everything to him to manage. That okay, let him have a free run.
See, look, in July, in the first part of July, Home Minister Amit Shah had told Biren Singh that he should look after the valley and the Home Ministry will take care of the hills. So just before he had, offered to resign. So, so clearly, this Home Ministry, at least, Home Ministry has the center has given him the free run in the valley, and Biren Singh's read doesn't, it's limited only to within the valley, because now there is very limited presence of state government in the hills, and the cookie organizations, they have refused to have any kind of negotiation or talks with Biren Singh. So long Biren Singh is in power, they will not have any kind of negotiation with the state government. So, the center has essentially given him the responsibility to control the Meiteis. And even now you will find the peculiar narrative. If you go in the valley, they will, blame center for what is happening there and say that, the state government the state government's hands are tied. If you go to the hills will entirely blame blame the state government, saying that the state government is the central government is not aware of the situation or being misled by the state. So, so this kind of narrative, it's chit bhi mera, pat bhi mera type. So in BJP, in the valley, the people are now supporting the BJP government in the state. In hills, the people are supporting the BJP government at the center. So this kind of peculiar situation where BJP think that they can, control this both narratives. And
Which is very clear. BJP is trying to control the narrative in both the hills and the valley. So which is very clear that Biren Singh is not threatened to any extent right now. He will continue no matter what.
Yeah, but I don't think, I don't see any threat to him. And moreover, like he has support of most of the MLAs. And even during his last tenure, if you see, there had been 2 attempts to dislodge him, and both the attempts failed because he had that kind of support. And BJP knows very well that dislodging him will, harm the party's prospect in the state.
Okay, so Pushpraj, yes, Suhas, you were raising your hand.
No, just to add to Samir.
The last one too.
Yes. Just to add to Samir, if you replace with Biren Singh with any other chief minister, that in a way doesn't resolve the problem, whether he is a Meitei or Cookie. So that's why their hands are also tied, and they themselves do not want to take the responsibility. So where do you go? So that's why it has to continue.
Okay. So
and then the president rule is also not an option, because particularly in the valley, people are reluctant for the president rules. When I visited there, spoke to the people on the streets and even the prominent citizens, they are very clear in their mind that they don't want president rule, because in the past they had a very bad experience of high-handedness of Indian Army and security agencies. So president rule is also not an option.
Okay, so president rule is not an option. Replacing Biren Singh is also not an option. So Pushpraj, the last word to you. So Mr. Biren Singh continues to be impregnable. And where is Manipur headed to then?
So see, I mean, from what Samirji was saying, it looks to me like he was describing a tribal warlord. I mean, Biren Singh is looking after only the Meiteis. The Cookies don't have any faith in him. How can the CM of a state not have faith? How can the CM continue when the significant chunk of the state's population doesn't have any faith in him or her, for that matter? I mean, the fact of the matter is that, yes, for electoral reasons, the BJP will continue CM Biren Singh. That is a fact. But the problem is that this is not in the national interest. I mean, this is a very complex issue. From what both Suhasji and Samirji are saying, there are geopolitical issues, there are ethnic issues, there are religious issues, there are regional issues, federal issues. I mean, this requires some serious, meaningful thinking, as well as a collaborative effort in resolving this. But neither the BJP government in Manipur nor the BJP government in the center is interested in that. They are very happy in obfuscating the narrative. They're very happy in just ignoring the narrative. I mean, for 79 days, the Prime Minister just refused to say anything. Even when he did say anything, it was for 36 seconds, and that too outside Parliament. Now also they're running away from any meaningful debate in Parliament. The PM doesn't want to do anything about this. So my point is that this is a very serious, complex issue, and it requires a very serious, structured approach, which has to be bipartisan, because today the BJP might consider that it is going to last for the next 20, 30 years. That's not going to be the case. This requires the BJP to reach across the aisle, talk to the Congress party. Same thing in the state assembly. These people have governed Manipur, have a deep knowledge of what has happened on the ground. You need to govern Manipur, need to resolve this issue, keeping multiple variables in mind, and that requires a bipartisan approach. But frankly speaking, the BJP is not doing that. So the national interest be damned. That's what the BJP's response is. Jo chalta hai, chalne do.
Yeah. And are we going to see BJP really involving itself in a serious dialogue on Manipur or Northeast is anybody's guess. We're running short of time. Thank you so much, Suhas Chakma, Pushparaj Deshpande, Samir. Thank you so much for joining. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching the